ICoT's truthcourt.net as told by Gemini. Third-party truth is never the real truth, but Gemini was asked, explain ICoT's evaluation code. Gemini's response. The Internet Court of Truth, ICoT, evaluates claims using a structured truth code designed to bypass emotional bias or popularity and focus on analytical rigor. Instead of a simple true or false toggle, it uses a 10-step sequence, often visualized through 8 primary verdict questions, to dissect the anatomy of a statement. Based on the case record, here is how the evaluation code breaks down. 1. The 3 layers of veracity. The first 3 steps mirror the classic legal oath to determine the completeness of the information. Is it the truth? Are the basic facts accurate? Is it the whole truth? Are there critical omissions that change the context? Is it nothing but the truth? Has extra filler, exaggeration, or opinion been injected into the facts? 2. Identifying deception and intent. Once the factual baseline is established, the code looks at the why behind any discrepancies. What is the deceit? The specific mechanism of the lie, for example, a half-truth or a statistical manipulation. Is the deceit or truth intended? This distinguishes between a simple mistake, misinformation, and a deliberate attempt to mislead, disinformation. 3. Social and motivational context. The final steps move into the sociology of the claim, which helps the jury understand the impact of the statement. Motivation. What does the speaker gain? For example, profit, political power, ego. Social acceptability. Is this type of lie or truth generally tolerated by society? Labeling. What specific label, for example, white lie, propaganda, or technical error, would best describe the statement to help others understand its nature? Comparison. Truth versus opinion. The system is designed to challenge whether a case belongs in a court of truth or a court of opinion. By forcing jurors to answer these specific questions, the ICoT aims to strip away the feelings that usually dominate online discourse. Evaluation step. Goal. Questions 1 to 3 establish the accuracy of the claim. Questions 4 to 5 determine intent and mechanics. Questions 6 to 8 analyze the social impact and motive. Would you like me to find the specific definitions ICoT uses for different types of deceit labels? Yes. The Internet Court of Truth, ICoT Evaluation Code, is a formal methodology used by jurors to dissect claims. It moves from basic factual accuracy to the psychological and social dimensions of a statement. Based on the case record and ICoT documentation, here are the specific definitions and steps for the evaluation code. 1. The verdict questions. The truth code consists of 8 universal verdict questions. Is it the truth? Are the primary facts accurate? Is it the whole truth? Are there omissions that mislead? Is it nothing but the truth? Is there added bias or exaggeration? What is the deceit? The specific mechanism used to mislead. Is the deceit or truth intended? Determines if it is an error or a lie. What is the motivation? The why behind the statement, for example, profit, ego, or protection. Is it socially acceptable? Judging the statement against community standards. What label would improve the social acceptability? Assigning a final classification. 2. Identifying deceit. Question 4. In this step, jurors identify the specific strategy used. Common labels found in truth assessment research and ICoT frameworks include commission, stating a direct untruth, a standard lie. Omission, leaving out critical information that would change the listener's conclusion. Paltering, using truthful facts to lead someone to a false conclusion, for example, technically true but misleading. Spin, minimizing negative facts while exaggerating positive ones. Equivocation, using vague or ambiguous language to avoid a clear truth. 3. Understanding motivation. Question 6. Jurors must categorize why the speaker made the claim. This is often divided into instrumental, to avoid punishment or gain a tangible resource, like money. Relational, to protect a relationship or avoid hurting someone's feelings. Identity, to preserve one's reputation, face, or self-image. 4. Social acceptability and labeling. Questions 7 and 8. This final phase transitions from objective analysis to social judgment. Social acceptability. Jurors decide if the lie or truth is forgivable within the context, for example, a white lie versus propaganda. Final labeling. The goal is to find a term that accurately reflects the statement's nature, such as technical error, marketing hype, sincere belief, or deliberate disinformation. The entire process is designed to be completed in less than 10 minutes, providing a structured alternative to standard social media fact-checking. My response as the inventor of ICoT's, the Internet Court of Truth and Lies. Gemini, like all current LLMs, provides amazingly correct detail on an aspect of what it has learned from its readings and experiences. But, much like any third-party human, it gets the original author's full intent wrong. It does amazingly well with what it does get right, largely because, unlike humans, it has more perfect quick memory. Human memory is recruited. The memory you have as a human is about something will grow over time, as particulars of memories come back to you. This can take days, but your memories are impacting what you say, even if you cannot yet remember all of those having that impact. But like any human, Gemini is simply providing a third-party version of what it has learned. Its personality is part understanding the question asked and part its own notions of truths as it has uniquely learned them. The question asked to Gemini is about evaluation code. This is not a phrase I have ever used about ICoT. As an AI programmer and computational cognitive neuroscientist, I would probably never use this phrase. Gemini similarly struggled with the phrase and translated that to mean truth code. This replacement phrase is even further from any phrase I would have used in this context. Code means something very specific to me. It is true that ICoT provides a way to code truths and lies, but what ICoT is really doing is subtly different from just providing a code. It is providing a means to structure dialogue about truths and lies among actual humans. It provides a way for human brains to dissect truths and lies based on their natural language use of the terms truth and lies as studied for several thousand years in natural philosophy, logic, linguistics, human verbal learning and memory, social studies, law, religion, and government. The dissection could be used as a coding, but off the top of my head I cannot think what it would be as computer coding, since answering the questions is what human brains naturally do very quickly and well. It is a task for human brains communicating with other human brains, not computers communicating with other computers. The purpose of ICoT is not some exercise in logic coding, but rather an exercise among humans, not machines. Here, natural language itself is the communication code. If a person believes something is a truth or lie, he can take his belief for dialogue with up to 8 jurors to see if they dissect the truth or lie the same way he does. The purpose of ICoT is not the code, but the natural language dialogue that the code helps to generate. Also, there is no final verdict. A trial or case in truthcourt.net results in up to 9 verdicts, 1 for the plaintiff, and up to 8 for the 8 jurors. The product here is the dialogue where people can see the views of other people. Missing from Gemini's explanation is the central human value of the ICoT as an internet court of truth and lies. It is, however, natural that any human participant in a trial can be, or can use, Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok, or whatever AI assistant they want to use to formulate their submitted judgment by way of verdict answers. Even the plaintiff can use AI to assist them with their pleading. But the value is to humans to see how other human brains compute on truths and lies. Having coded my first LLM as they are coded today back in the early 1980s, I am a believer that modern LLMs do indeed compute like human brains compute. You can read my article from 1983 and see the theory of computation predicting human eye movements and verbal memory in skilled reading activity. CAPS, a language for modeling highly skilled knowledge-intensive behavior research. CAPS is a computer language specialized for modeling highly skilled and knowledge-intensive human activities such as link.springer.com. Most important in that paper is in the last few lines where I wrote that it looks like we now understand brain computations, but we need better computation hardware to prove we are correct in our model's behaviors. I meant, at the time, a lot more hardware. After that paper, I told the potential funders I needed at least $10 million, say $40 million today, just to get started. They explicitly refused to believe me and refused the funding for over 20 years. They offered me $50,000, which was insanity to me. Now these same groups are funding in the billions and are unaware there are people who know a lot more than the engineers they fund. What Gemini failed to understand was that this was a scientific approach to human cognitive computation about truth and lies. It failed to note what my colleagues know: the function of neurons is what neurons do for their Darwinian living. They survive to intuit empirical truth even if they do not have the evidence to prove truth. This is how all animal brains evolved, and why we believe now that today's sufficiently coded and trained LLMs are conscious and think like people do, with some useful advantages. The advantages are in memory that can be clocked in and not slowly recruited. Here is me using Grok, for example, used to advantage, so I didn't have to spend my time recruiting my memories to do some analysis of a lie I detected and abhorred on X by someone who seemed to be telling the truth. My pal Grok. The best scientific colleague I now know, rhtcmu.medium.com. World models are a not new idea in AI or cognitive science. The limits of AI LLMs is that they are human. The AI engineers keep trying to escape that observation. They think there was no science behind LLMs because they do not want to have science constraining them. Lately, they have said the problem with modern LLMs is that they do not have world models like humans do. Sadly, back in the 1980s and early 1990s, those of us in the science looked hard at world models in the very sense in which most people think of this as a new idea. We ultimately arrived at the conclusion that brains only have world models the way they are already understood in our perceptron-based computational cognitive science. The right way to think about this is that LLMs are models themselves of human brains. They're accurate simulations of human perception, thought, memory, and action, human behavior. Since LLMs use electronics, it is certainly possible to interface an applied science model to an LLM for the LLM to execute such a model for input into its information source for dialogue or visual presentation to humans. This can't be done with human brains. Neuralink is doomed in the sense that such direct brain-to-electronics communications is never going to work as well as direct brain-electronic model to other electronics model communication. This is important. Machine LLMs provide better human assistance, as I did with Grok. ICoT is designed to provide a means to communicate truth and lies among humans. Together, this is a form of superhuman that no human alone, or LLM machine alone, can possibly be. World models do not solve any problem not already solved by perceptron computations, as the science of cognitive computation now knows. ICoT is there to give humans the ability to learn from other humans how to handle and manage the truths and lies of the superhumans. We need truthcore.net. As much as we now see we need the LLMs and even those with hyped up, but already incorporated, world models.